All right, we are back with the Maybell Recording Master. I just picked up the neck to begin leveling the fretboard, and I noticed it's quite musical, which is kind of surprising for something clad in celluloid, but it's promising for the overall end product of this project. So let's get to it. Before we get started, I just want to address the irony in having a typo on a label that says Pinnacle of Perfection. If you missed the first episode, this is where we're at. If you didn't see part 1, I highly recommend you watch it first, but even if you did, here's a quick recap. Oh yeah, look at that. Well, shit. This is not going well. Quarter sawn spruce. Finger brace, 1 block, finger brace. And there we have it clamped in. The guitar is completely in shambles. But all we lack in progress, we gain in anticipation. And now the anticipation is over, and we're gonna start leveling the neck. Now, worth noting is that the fretboard is flat all the way until we reach the overhang, and that's when it starts getting some concavity. And so we're going to start out just by flattening the overhang. There's been some conjecture about the species. One person guessed poplar, not a bad guess. I had guessed possibly pear or maple. Now that I've sanded it down, I am no more certain. Though I will still say maple just because it seems most likely. After about a minute of leveling, you can see why this is necessary. There are some high points, and you can see also that there is some fall away after the body, which is fantastic. We want that. Basically, we want this part to be almost perfectly level, and then we want fall away here. I've been trying to decide what kind of glue to use for the celluloid. Obviously epoxy would work, but I don't like working with it. Fish glue is an option. I've also heard wood glue, aka Titebond, can work on celluloid. Well, anyway, I'm going to practice on the headstock before I move on to all of the fretboard inlays, or veneers, I should say. Obviously, the main benefit of fish glue is that you can do a nice, easy, warm water cleanup. So let's try that first. I couldn't get a clamp on this area because of the curve of the neck, so I'm gonna bust out the rubber hose.
Up your nose with rubber hose.
Well, here we are. Okay, the bridge. Now, I feel like even though this cracked, I could still reproduce the bridge and glue this down. Let's see. It can be flattened. And it can probably be buffed back out. But I have a different idea. Okay, looking like 155 by 31.5-ish. Because of the previous work and damage, I'd like to come just forward of this lip and fill this in so I can level it. And so we're gonna go oversized and work our way down to the size we need here. Now there are very many inconsistent edges here, so I am creating flat areas onto which to glue patches. I started here and flattened out this area for my deepest patch. And then I'm gonna do this next and get it all uniform so that I can glue in some veneer. I decided I might as well fill some of these holes.
Hey, that's what she said.
Let's see if the fish glue worked. Yay. Okay, for the bridge, I don't have ebony stock thick enough anymore, so I'm going to use Purple Heart and ebonize it if I decide to do so. And we'll start with the general shape, and then I'll tell you about the aesthetics I'm thinking of. Okay, at this point it's over width, it's over length, and it's over thickness, but better too big than too small. I hate oversized bridges and I avoid them as much as possible, but we're gonna go a little bit oversized on this one so we can get just north of that gap where it's missing from the front. And we will leave the witness lines behind the bridge because they look nice. They look vintage, they look old, they look 94 years old. Here you can see what I mean. Just a little under a millimeter past the gap here. And then we will leave all that nitty gritty back there. But where are we going with the aesthetics? Purple would be cool. Purple and green is cool together, but that's not what I'm doing. So my idea is actually one of these flattened pyramid style bridges. Obviously this thing's thick and fat, which I don't like, but that's what we're gonna do, it seems like. But with green perloid veneer or inlay. I haven't decided yet whether I want to inlay it or just glue it over top and have a proud pyramid cap of green with a little yellow stripe, and also veneer this plane, which I'm going to taper back. All right, now that this is flat, should we start gluing these back on? Because the fish glue experiment worked on the headstock, we are going to continue along that line with these veneers. Of course, all of the inlays are tapered with the taper of the board, but it becomes less and less apparent as we go down, so I'm gonna have to be very careful to measure each one. Make sure I'm putting it on the right way before I glue it in place. For the first one, we're going to err on the side of the nut because the fret side will be covered with a fret. Ooh, it's slippery and my hand is sticky. Don't expect this to go smoothly, but we will just try. Okay, I feel like once it's positioned, it should be fine. It looks like it's going to take a bunch of wraps per fret and probably at least a minute per fret. So, BRB. Only 3 on so far and I'm feeling sticky and overwhelmed. I fear that the surgical cord was a bad idea. It's not putting enough pressure in the middle, so I added some clamps. Hopefully that helps. It may be too late for the first 5. When you're flailing and failing, you might as well keep going. And so I am going to attempt to glue on the pick guard. This was a shit show. I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, it went 2. That exciting moment where I find out if this is completely effed up or not. So they're on there pretty flat, but there's some alignment issues that are pissing me off. I did a few more inlays last night after my daughter went to sleep. These ones look good. I also re-glued 3 and 4. And I'm gonna leave the holes for the heat sticks, and that will make it foolproof for the next person who needs to reset this neck, whenever that may be. Some tasks are just so sticky and annoying that it's best to split it up and just do a little bit at a time. So all we'll have left to do after this session is 5 more frets. It would probably be extremely helpful to have the binding on to register these and have them in exactly the right location, but because these slots are getting glue in them, I'm going to want to saw them out, and that is 100 times easier without the binding in place. Using medium super glue, I did an experiment and it seemed to work fine. You do often see this discoloration when you work with celluloid and super glue, but that is on the bottom and I'm hoping it has no impact. There's a bridge under there somewhere. All right, let's take care of this crack. Let's cleat it. Just confirming that my inner magnet is parallel to the crack. As I discovered in my last video, the best way to cut a strip cleat I found is with a scalpel.
With my scalpel and my forceps.
And then we just do the magnet flip trick. And we're clamped. I was like, oh man, everything's all busy. I can't work on anything else. But then I remembered I need a nut. I need to fix the tuning machines. I need to make a end pin, etc. I wanted to order a mother of pearl end pin and nut blank, but I don't want to wait for them. So now I need to decide ebony or white plastic. The white plastic kind of sets it off, and I think I can make a little new dot for this that's maybe green celluloid, but maybe some nice abalone. Let's see if I can get this button to squeeze back together. Oh, maybe we can get these to come back together. Most of the way, at least. It would be nice if I could find or have some of the washers. Here's one of the partial original washers. As I mentioned in the first video, I have worked on these 2-tab grovers before, and I made new washers, but they look pretty ugly. I just rough cut them with scissors out of leather. There's some originals. These ones have bigger, nicer buttons too. All right. Let's ignore all these messes and see how our bridge is doing. Can I tell you a secret? Not going well. Take two. Can we see where we're going with this? Okay, I put some bevels on here, and now I'm laying out the pinholes. I'm not sure if they're going to put them this far back. I'm going to measure the intonation distance required for the saddle first, and then decide. So the distance from the nut to the 12th thread is 303 millimeters, and so we need to add compensation to that to figure out where we're going on the bridge. So 303 is literally going to be 3 millimeters back from the front of the bridge. Nope. It's going to be 4 millimeters back from the front of the bridge. And so we need to add a compensation to that. Now with better measurements, I found that since I moved my bridge forward, I actually have 6 millimeters into the bridge for the 0 intonation compensation. And I'm going to add 2 millimeters to that on the treble side and 4 millimeters on the bass side, and then the width of the saddle provide extra adjustment room for compensation. Okay, this is where we're looking at putting the saddle most likely. Wouldn't be a not a luthier video if I didn't lose something mid-video. I can't find my awl. I've been meaning to get a second backup awl. I just have one antique awl that never dulls and it's great, but it sucks when you can't find it. Found it. Balled it. Now I have this extremely ramshackle setup of two shims here to keep this level with the drill press, but maybe I'll look and see if I've got the right angle among my shingle offcuts. And now, of course, I'm thinking about the fact that I would rather have the slots come in at an angle like this than go straight down. So I'm gonna think about this a little bit more. I'm not gonna say I chose arbitrarily the angle that it's gonna go through the bridge, but I did. And now they're countersunk. I usually put in my saddle slot when the bridge is in place, but I am going to put it in outside just in case something goes awry. I'm gonna start by double-sided taping the bridge to my workbench. So this is for a 7-centimeter slot. We've got the ends marked off here and the center marked off. Make sure they get this centered over the slot location and then clamp it in place. I scraped it on there to make sure the positioning was correct. It looks good. Now I need to choose a depth. I ended up with about 5 millimeters of depth. That way there'll be a good bite into the bridge itself and through the plastic, of course. There's always this BS with a circle near the ends. This is mostly just discoloration, but hate that. Yeah, the circles at the ends are less than ideal, but once the saddle's in there, probably won't notice. Oh well. Now I'm gonna take some hide glue out of the fridge and heat it up and finish the aesthetics of the bridge. I'm going to ebonize the Purple Heart. I don't know if I like it or not. I don't know if I like it or not. What a very good match the green is, though. That's some lucky that I had that. Look how filthy the overlays are. Let's clean them. I figured out a hack. Instead of getting a caul underneath to raise this, because when you've got this flat arm, it leans against the braces and you can't get it to clamp properly because it'll lean back. So this one has an extendable foot like this, and on this one, boom, just some neodymium magnets and you've got a foot. This is just a dry run before we get the hot glue out. Next up is frets. And even though this is a flat fretboard ostensibly. We're going to put a little radius on the fret wire because it likes to pop up on the sides. So here we go. Real talk, I don't love putting in frets, and so I didn't videotape it, but I just put in the first round of like 7 or 8, and now I've got them clamped in with some softwood and surgical tube. And I used fish glue. I don't know, 8 a.m. Saturday morning, back to it. We've got a good portion of our frets in. That's exciting, it's coming together. We'll get the rest in and then get to business leveling them. In today's episode of Lessons Learned the Hard Way, you can actually crack the veneers if you hammer too hard. That's obviously a major bummer, but learn from my mistakes. The last of the frets are hammered, glued, and clamped in. Now we wait. I got out my 2-part epoxy, and the glue part, not the hardener part, had solidified mostly. It's like a paste now. And the hardener part wouldn't open. So I'm just gonna shove super glue into these buttons and hope for the best.
I also went to the hardware store yesterday and picked up some washers for the tuners instead of making them myself.
These little rubber washers were $1 each, which seems like a rip-off, but at the same time, I can't make one for less than $1. Here's the original, and here's the new one I bought. All right, that's actually a pretty good proximity. Once it squeezes out, it's about the same diameter. This is the part number. All right, I popped the neck in place, and now we can check to see what kind of reset situation we need. Not horrible. There's only about 4 millimeter gap there. Here's a better angle. I started out by carving away the cheeks here. That way we're only sanding the outer edge, and it will be a much quicker process. Well, I can't find my 80 grit roll of sandpaper, so it might be time to clean up. It's always good to have motivation to clean, and I did an okay job, but it turns out the 80 grit was just hiding inside of the 220 grit. We've got our PSA 80 grit here. We're gonna slide this in and pull back with our pressure being on the end of the heel here so that we start bringing it down more on this end than that end. And we'll do a few strokes on this side, and then we'll switch over and do a few strokes on this side. Somebody having a mental health break. Well, this is nice. Somebody offered to help him. After a little while, I'll come back with a chisel and carve out the areas that are most worn away again. Now 80 grit's a bit rough and it won't get you a nice tight fit, so once the angle is close to good, I switch over to 220. When you're just trying to even out the cheeks, it's best not to do full pulls all the way through the end of the heel, just short pulls. And as you get closer, it can be handy to have two pieces of sandpaper so they keep the neck level. Ultimately, of course, you want a tight fit all the way around. Here you can see I've got a little bit of a gap at the very edge of the heel there, so I need to take down all the rest of the material till I get that leveled out. All right, the fit is good. The neck angle is good. And there is fall away starting at the 12th fret. So we need a little bit of a shim under the overhang. We need to shim the dovetail to fit it tight to the body. We need to make a nut. And that will about do it. I was tempted to make an ebony saddle, but bone is a much better material, so we'll do that. It's nice and snug, but I can get it back out. Perfect. Time to do a simple mindless task for a change. I don't know if this is science or not, but I've heard you should nut at least once a day.
Sorry, children.
Hopefully you don't mind that I nutted in your face. All right, Monday morning, we got to do our nut, our saddle, and our fretwork. Okay. Oh, I also need to put a veneer on the end of this. Wow. Okay. It's already better than expectations. Still lots of setup work to do, but just some test strings on there, and it's vibrating nicely throughout. Okay, I'm still just here with the test strings on, and I filed down the nut slots, so we've got the action almost dialed in. The nut is still rough and sharp, but who can help but do a little demonstration? It's very much a fingerstyle guitar. It's really resonant, lots of sustain, but the dynamic range lends itself better to fingerstyle than chords. All right, let's put it in an open tuning. Okay, now we're probably in Dad Fad with F sharp. Strings definitely prefer to work together. I mean, that seems intuitive, but sometimes a guitar doesn't mind a standard tuning, but That's a song I haven't finished writing yet. It's a little full of tropes, I guess. Needs better lyrics and more lyrics. Okay, this is a song I might have covered on this channel before, which is embarrassing, but also not embarrassing, because it's a really good song by my friend Mike O'Neill, and it's called Calgary. Move to Calgary, start a Christian band, live off loyalty, play in oil sand. Everything you've ever heard was wrong. Learn some melodies while you're changing lanes. Take up honesty. Take a scenic train. Everything you've ever heard was wrong. Wake up westwardly in your sister's van. Your philosophy is money in your hand. Everything you've ever heard was wrong. Everything you've ever heard was wrong. Thank you all very much for joining me in this two-part series. This guitar was quite an insane project, and there's still a few details I'd like to work out. I may bind the headstock or faux bind it by painting it black and filling in the chipped out areas, and that will be like a continuation of the neck binding. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. And I'm very happy that you watched along, and please like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. That's free and helps me out a lot. One more detail of note before I go. I do have this other Slingerland guitar from the same era, same materials except for the celluloid, that I will be restoring in the future. So be sure to subscribe and we'll do a very close comparison to how each of these sounds next to one another. Should be pretty interesting. Thank you. All the cool kids, L and S.
100% cool kids are Ellen and Essen.
Every time you don't L or S, I'm gonna cut the face off of you.
You understand me?